Welcome to Random Talk. I hope that everyone has been having a good week so far. Let me tell you, today's topic is look for miracles. When I say look for miracles, I just want you to know that in this life, in the universe, in the world that we live in, there are always little small miracles that happen throughout our days that we have to look at. It's just all about how you look at things. You have to change your perspective. But before we get into today's topic, I just need you to know that I love you for who you are. And I don't say that like just saying that because I'm in front of the camera. I know that seems weird, but I just felt the need to just tell you that I love you for who you are. And I don't have to know you to say it. I say it because we are all human beings. We were all born and, created to live this life that we're supposed to live and to hope that it can make a difference in someone else's life. We should always live in a way that will help someone else. And so I say to you, I love you for who you are because I know that you were created with purpose. And I just need you to believe that. I need you to hear it from me because sometimes we can go through life and never hear someone tell us that. And so I want to be the one to tell you that I love you for who you are. And that means with all your flaws and everything that comes along with it, because none of us are perfect. But as long as we can show people a little bit of love and compassion, because we're going to all make mistakes and we're going to all have moments in our lives of what we may regret, but it does not mean that we are bad people. It just means that we have a little bit of work that we have to do on ourselves. And so I want you to know that in Novelty Woman Speaks, in this space, you get what I call that unconditional love. So you have a place where you know that you can just be free to be yourself. It is not something that you have to be perfect at. You just be you, because I'm telling you firsthand, I am far from perfect, but I am a work in progress. I am someone who has worked to getting herself to where she is right now. And I just want you to know that that's all we have to do in this life. That's all I expect you to do. So if no one else has told you, let me just say to you one more time, I love you just the way you are. Yes. So today's topic again, it is look for miracles. When I say look for miracles, I'm not sure what pops into your head when you first hear that, but I just mean life is hard. We've had that discussion in a previous Random Talk that life is hard, but sometimes we overlook the miracles that happen. So let me give you some real life examples that I've went through. Now, it may not seem like much to you, but it's a lot to me. Now, I have just hit many brick walls lately where it seems like I get one thing completed or checked off and then something else happens. Now, when I told you in a previous episode that I love financial freedom, I don't know if you really understand what that means about financial freedom, and I will do a random talk about that just to educate you on what that means. And that's just coming from me on a financial basis of being a life insurance agent. But right now, I'm just going to give you a little taste. Financial freedom, for instance, I don't constantly create bills for myself. I don't try to keep up with the times. I love not having a car payment. So whenever I get an automobile, a vehicle, however you refer to it, I'm trying to pay it off because I don't want to have to, have that debt that I have to pay. So there are some people who love, and there's nothing wrong with it. There are some people who love to go get new cars. They love to go trade that car in and get something else because that's just who they are. That's what they enjoy. It is nothing wrong with that. But see, I am the type of person that when I go get a car, I'm looking to get it and to have it for a while. So every car that I have had, I've been fortunate enough to have for like 15 years before I get rid of it, because I'm the type that I keep up with what I have. That means I keep it, looking nice, and I take care of it. I keep the maintenance up on it. Now, when I say hitting some brick walls, my car, I needed a tune-up. And that means the spark plugs and everything. This happened recently and I had to get a tune-up. And I'm like, okay, let me get this tune-up. Now, when I originally called so I could get an idea of how much it was going to cost me, I called to get a quote. And they gave me the quote. Okay, that was fine. So I'm sitting up here putting in my budget. For those of you that don't know what a budget is, it's when you have to look at your bills and look at your account and you have to make some sacrifices and, budget your life. I live off a budget. I don't know about everybody else, but I looked at my budget and I said, okay. So about 4 or 5 weeks later, I called them back to schedule my tune-up. I'm getting to my point for the miracle. Now, the first quote that they gave me was one quote. When I called back, they gave me a different estimate. I didn't say a word because I felt like they should know what they're doing. But that was my miracle, because when I called back to, schedule my appointment, and they had gave me a lesser amount than 5 weeks before, 4 or 5 weeks before, I found that to be my miracle. It was a small miracle, but it was like a $65 difference. And so for me in my world, $65 is a lot in this day and time. So that was my small miracle. It wasn't just because, they did something wrong. I just took that as the universe has worked in my favor. And so I was able to adjust my account with, this $65, I can go buy some groceries, or I can get some gas. So for those of you that drive a truck or an SUV, you know that $65 ain't gonna do nothing. So for my tank, it cost that to fill up the tank. So that was my small miracle. I just want you to know that in this world, we are so focused on everything that is happening that may not be in our favor, but you have to focus on the small miracles. Now, let me give you another example. When I was going through the clinical trials, so for those of you, you know that I have been very sick. And when I say that I have a second chance on life, please don't misunderstand me. I am just better. My health is better than what it was, but my health is nowhere near perfect. So just because I'm sitting before you in front of this camera, it does not mean that my health is perfect. It just means that my health is so much better than what it was before. But when I was going through the clinical trials and the medicine that the doctor told me I would have to take, this was the last trial that I had to go on. I had told myself, and I told my family, if they can't figure out what's wrong, this is it. If this does not work, this is it. I was tired of doctors. And so when I went to do this last clinical trial, the medication was expensive, to say the least. And so the doctor told us, we were sitting there and he told us that, I don't want you to have to pay for this out of pocket, because we were willing to pay out of pocket if the insurance company did not cover it. But he said it's not a guarantee. It's a trial. It's a clinical trial. So it does not mean it will help her. But guess what? I found a miracle, because the medicine was $2,000. I'm just saying $2,000, and it didn't last but 2 weeks. So $2,000 for some pills that was only going to last me 2 weeks, and then I would have to repeat the cycle. They sent my medicine to somewhere called a specialty pharmacy. So if you have anyone in your family or even yourself and you are suffering with the insurance companies not to be able to pay for medicine, I just have to tell you, this is what I found out. Never heard of it. A specialty pharmacy, what they do is they fight your battle. And so my medicine went to this specialty pharmacy. It took them 2 days, but they called me back and they said, you can get your medicine for free. What? $2,000 and I don't have a copay? I don't have to pay anything on this medicine. Typically, the people would have a copay of $500 to $600 after the insurance company covered it. That was my miracle, because I had to take that clinical trial at least 3 times the first time around. So that was $6,000 that I would have had to pay out of pocket. So I am just saying that in this world, we can have tough times, because in that time, it was a tough time. I was extremely sick. I was knocking on heaven's door. I am not exaggerating to you. I am being truthful. So in that moment, I could have looked at the fact of how sick I was and not even accepted the miracle, but that was a miracle to me. So you have to pay attention to your small miracles. There have been times where I go through the line to pick up something to eat, and someone in the car in front of me, they have paid for my food that day, and I just say, oh, well, thank you, because I'm thinking in my mind, that's a small miracle. So they exist everywhere. Sometimes it can just be the miracle that you have to look at and say, I woke up today, because I have had things that go so wrong so often in my life that it's hard to even find a piece of light. But there is always light. I did a Tuesday testimony on that. There is always light present in darkness. You just have to change your perspective. It's all about how you look at it. So I just want you to know, don't miss out on recognizing your small miracles. They exist every day in our lives. It is just how we look at it. It's how we decide to look at what is happening. It could always be worse. Just remind yourself that someone else is doing much worse than what you are doing. And so that should be enough to get you through your day. And then that should be enough to make you thankful, because we don't have to be here. So there are many days that I can't find anything that's going right. But the fact that I woke up is enough for me to say, that's my small miracle. That is my random talk for you today. I hope that it helped someone. And if it didn't help you, just let it help someone else. Be sure to share it so that way it can help another person. You never know what people are going through. So you make sure that you tune in for the next random talk. And I want you to do like I always say, love yourself as much as you deserve to be loved. Tune in for the next random talk.